I know it goes against everything I stand for, seeing as how I never leave any deity I decide to stick with over the course of a run. I also very much would like to get a bit of a solid weapon under my belt here, seeing just how much damage those storm clouds can output when they get rearing and going. I mean, pair that with the shield of the gong, and holy moly, are we cooking with gas. Let's just blast you off, my friend. Just nice to see other people play this game. It's been such a niche genre. No one you meet seems to know what roguelikes are, especially the very kind of traditional ones. I mean, like, they've kind of blown up recently with a lot of the, like, what is it? Roguelike and... Why am I blank? Oh, roguelites. The roguelites that are out there. I know some people are sticklers for those definitions, so I'll try to use the proper nomenclature as we go about it. But, you know, a lot of good roguelites have very much hit mainstream. But yeah, this classic style, old school roguelike, I definitely don't have too many friends that have played it on their own. Ooh, a Scroll of Torment is a lot of fun on a mummy character, so that is beautiful. You guess Ignis is hard for me? Well, that's the thing, Colgate. Because of my headcanon, that escaping with the orb allows me to revitalize Ignis and bring them back to their former glory. It's not that much of a problem, I just never abandon them. As much as it puts me in a worse situation and in no way, shape, or form actually helps me survive during the run, I can't help but give it my all and try my best. But no, in regards to what you were saying, Gamer, I feel like I am super happy to have found this game all those years ago, because it has just given me insane amounts of happiness and joy over the years. Been so entertained and have had such a good time. I can't imagine a world in which I was not made aware of the genre. And hey, hopefully some people out there may just stumble upon these videos and learn of it for the first time themselves. It's generally not something that the algorithm will feed to you unless you've already shown prior interest in that kind of a thing. But always love to see new players and love to introduce people to the game and get them going, because it is a good time for sure. And as you mentioned, a bit underappreciated in the kind of general public mind. I feel like a giga nerd trying to explain it to your friends. I feel that. Have I ever succeeded in restoring Ignis? I have, yeah. I think it's the only win that I've had with Ignis, because I have a refusal to abandon. And to be honest, it was, I believe, just a ridiculously strong character that didn't really need a god anyway. At least, by the time it got rolling. So maybe not the best example of it, but what can I say? I still, I can't help but give it a go, regardless of its lackluster success rate historically. I'm a sucker for those weird little headcanons. It's the same reason why I just completely refuse to kill Natasha, even if it occasionally gets my characters murdered in horrible fashion. Thing is, too, it seems like the ultimate game. It's free, challenging, and has extreme replay value. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, that's what's kept me coming back all these years. How big of a portion of dungeon? It was just providing RF. A decent amount. I mean, actually not really, because I don't think I used any abilities early on. Maybe one Foxfire in the early game, and then again I think I found like an artifact weapon, a solid piece of armor, and kind of steamrolled through most of the game. I think I used the escape once as well, and it 100% saved my bacon, saved my life. But it's just definitely the only right thing to do. You know, we gotta bring Ignis back to life whenever possible, even if it doesn't generally work out. And hey, always down for a little bit of resistance to fire, always helpful. Okay, let's blast these kiddos off of us real quick here. Hey, 9th, how's it going? Last level, it's the same for you. It just requires a lot of learning to navigate. You have to watch my videos for like a month, so most people don't have the attention span for it, you think? That's definitely a fair assessment. I mean, at least now a lot more people, because of roguelites, are more familiar with the kind of loop of the game and kind of like the danger level of enemies, the challenge level of the game. So I do feel like that is hopefully removing some of that kind of barrier to entry that we're talking about there. But I think that that's another fair assessment of the game in general, especially for people completely new to the genre coming in. But hey, if you give it a chance, you may just become addicted to it like I did. You're only able to start gamer because you only were able to start playing decent once you got treated for ADHD. Yeah, it does require a bit of, I mean, you don't want to be too focused. I guess it depends on your brand of ADD. If you're somebody who fixates highly on one thing or has a generalized lack of attention. I know most of the people I have in my close friends and family very much are more on the first one. And if you get too tunnel vision, if you really fixate on just one aspect, it can be really hard to recognize threats as they're coming about from the wings. And also, Happy New Year to you as well, Ninth. I hope you're having a fantastic start to 2023 here. What's old you, Bus, was the well-made mobile port, because you're just so busy you can't justify seeing it at the computer. Oh, very nice. Yeah, Game Boy, you get very emphasized with something, then drop out real fast before you just tabo everything. Makes sense, yeah. Yeah, that hyperfixation. Yeah, I feel like that's also potentially what has kept the game so evergreen for me, is that when I first started, I did kind of like drift in and out of it. And so every time I came back to the game, it was so fresh and so exciting, and there were all these new features and changes that had been made to the game. And then now, for whatever reason, I haven't gone tired of it. This last, like, year and a half, maybe 2 years that I've returned to the game. Something about it hooked me the way it hadn't quite managed to do before. Though, again, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adored it. I loved it all throughout my time playing. But now I just can't seem to drop it. I mean, that's partially what got us on this journey in the first place. Even having the goal recently of trying to get this like unofficial great player probably helped out a lot in keeping me completely on board and excited to keep going, play some species that I've never really had the opportunity, or less of the opportunity, but just hadn't gotten around to, hadn't bothered trying out, has kept things super exciting. I can imagine your excitement when you came back and didn't have to eat raw meat anymore. I feel that, yeah. Holga, you don't remember how you found DCSS? Probably the r/roguelike sidebar. Nice, yeah. See, having those communities be a bit more evident and the ability to find them definitely goes a long way to bringing new faces on board. I wonder how I found it. I mean, I was always interested in especially free games. When I was a teenager, I didn't have much money to spend on buying new games, and so it usually was me being like, what's a cool free game? I probably got on to like Tales of Maj'Al beforehand, maybe ADOM. That's a blast from the past. What did get me started in DCSS all those years ago? I think I did just stumble upon it randomly, though. I've never been much of a part of any community, especially growing up. I was pretty, I don't know, I just wasn't quite into anything enough, so I always felt like I didn't exactly belong in them. And plus, I'm not great for that consistency. I was always jumping around, trying out different games, and so nothing quite had my attention grabbed enough to warrant checking out others in the same vein or anything like that. I don't know, I guess I probably never gave it this much thought, because at the time it was just like, ooh, cool, free game, I'll try it out, sure, why not? Saw all the species, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, just try Merfolk Crusaders, because that sounds cool. Always use polearms, because that's thematic, and that's what my Merfolk would look like. Kind of into the role-playing side of it, and that's why I didn't win for the first, 4 or 5 years that I played, because I was just kind of having a good time. Very much enjoying the thematic runs, and just fooling around in the game as much as I possibly could. It was definitely a lot of fun. Though I do appreciate the strategy a bit more these days, and do enjoy trying trying hard and trying to win as much as possible. Boss level, you're glad you started playing before the food mechanic. Game 7 hunger management is like a third resource bar is annoying. Yep. There's one game that gave you buffs you could spec into when you eat, and that was cool. You remember 4chan thread talking about Nethack? Oh, Nethack was actually one of the first ones that I tried out. Right. Kind of forgot about Nethack. I mean, I know a big part of it for me is that I also wasn't at all turned off by the ASCII nature, because that was before tiles were really well defined, and there definitely weren't like the incredible tile sets that are out there now, and especially this kind of mainline one that is actually, you know, host or given by the DCSS devs. So I originally started playing in traditional ASCII, and yeah, I wasn't turned off from that because I had an older brother that just played Dwarf Fortress constantly and absolutely adores that game. So I knew how deep games could be, even if the graphical interface wasn't quite as engaging or quite as much of a hook as kind of other games at the time. So I feel like even just giving it that benefit of the doubt goes a long way to getting people to give it a shot, to give it a good old college try, just begin with. Boss level, you've always been pretty big into D&D and token-based stuff, so pretty much if you can create a characters like different classes in a medieval setting, those are games you generally gravitate towards. I mean, same here. Again, I don't know if it's because of my general interest in fantasy, I don't know if it's because my older brother's interest in games meant that, like, when I went on his computer, one of the few games that I always went back to was Morrowind, and that very much just above and beyond got me addicted to RPGs in the first place. I don't know, it's all a bunch of like comorbidity where it's all these things rolled up into one, and everything kind of contributed to wanting to keep going down this road and find more new and exciting games to experience and have a good time. And here we are now after all of that, almost done our great player run. Maybe even on the way with this one. If I can keep Chance the Rapper alive, we'll do our best, of course, as we always try. But by gosh, am I happy that, however it happened, that I did get hooked. Because it has been an absolute treat, a wonderful pleasure to experience. How hard do you hit? 88? Okay, now it's scary again. Chances are this blast kills you. If it doesn't, that's kind of terrifying. How? You're not immune to acid or anything. Let's go for it. We blast you? Perfect. Never doubt in my mind, of course. Well, you tried Nethack once, couldn't figure out controls and quit, and same with you, boss level, then you found Majal, and yeah, Morrowind, you've put over 2,000 hours growing up with that. Yeah, exactly, same here. And I don't think I ever beat the main storyline. It was much like Skyrim. To this day, I've never beaten Skyrim. I always just get distracted doing silly little offshoots and exploring the world and like fooling around with physics. And I mean, in Morrowind, it was just like, how high can I train my jump skill? How high can I jump? And then can I use that with like jumping spells to get on top of buildings and do all sorts of silly stuff. So I never went anywhere, but by gosh, did I have a good time doing it. Have you ever played Nethack? I did, yeah, back in the day. I believe that it was one of the kind of freeware games that I was going through when I first got into roguelikes. I probably had a similar experience to what Colgate and Boss Level described, where I couldn't quite figure it out. I was a bit too young and dumb to have any real idea as to how to play it, so it kind of brought me out. But at Boss Level 2, the story is really engaging. That too, even though I generally sidestepped it, it was really good, don't get me wrong. I would agree with that. And also the soul trap bug was fun. You love games where you can break in and get stupid. Figuring out if you ate all your drugs, you could run across the entire map with one step. Well, exactly. I think the one thing that I missed the most from Morrowind when Skyrim first came out and I really got into that, for whatever reason, I didn't play that much Oblivion. I think it came out at a time when, again, I didn't have money to buy it, so I just never really played it. But what I missed the most from Morrowind on my end was the spell crafting. Being able to make spells, because then, yeah, you just make a spell that gives you unlimited jump for 1 second, and then cast that and go. I mean, the game even kind of leads you in that direction when you stumble across, rather, you don't stumble across, a body falls from the heavens crashing down at your feet, and you loot them and you find a ridiculous magic scroll on them that they definitely used, and that's how they found themselves in that predicament situation. But yeah, that was such a wonderful game. I should really return to Morrowind at some point and just give it another try because of just how much infinite fun that gave me as a kid. Bugs are a feature pretty much any Todd Howard game, right? Any of the Elder Scrolls. There's a technique where you could buff up your alchemy, then make a potion that buffs spellcasting, and just keep doing that exponentially till you had like hundreds of thousands in your stats. So yeah, that's similar to the one that still like exists in Skyrim, right? Where you keep buffing between your alchemy and your what is it? It's like restoration. But anyway, you end up being able to, craft infinitely high, well, not infinitely, exceptionally powerful gear until you go too high and you get an integer overflow and end up with negative damage. But yeah, just infinite playability because of just how bonkers a lot of the bugs and mechanics are. Such a good time. I feel like I should almost, with the time that I definitely don't have these days, having, adult responsibilities and all that lame stuff, I would love to take some time and like play through all of the Elder Scrolls. I'd probably skip through definitely the first one. It's a bit too dated for me. Daggerfall, I never really played that much of, so I don't know quite how cumbersome it would be to a kind of modern sensibility. I'm guessing pretty horrible in that regard. But at the very least, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. I really want to have like a marathon at some point and go through all of them. I think that would be a lot of fun. Used to test to see if I'm stupid. You can make spells before crashing the game. Lots of fun. See, yeah, that's good game design. You just give players the tools and let them go hog wild and see what they come up with, because you'll never be able to predict what players will try to do and how wild and chaotic they'll make your game. Daggerfall is playable, you think, today if you don't care about graphics? Huge map, takes 2 weeks in game to walk from one end to the other. Okay, so maybe I'll include Daggerfall on the list. Again, I never really had the experience with it, so I wasn't sure. Noida says that degree of freedom. Yeah, I love Noida, and I will definitely go back to it at some point. For stream, I mostly just wanted to get to that first win and be happy with that. Oh my gosh, accidentally I'm B, classic, my bad. But that's a game that I could definitely see myself getting back into because it's so much fun, and I love that exact aspect. Yeah, it has that same creativity where you start doing ridiculous combinations until you completely break the game in the most beautiful and wonderful way. I love it. Ooh. That was a bit of a shock. Don't blink me into my own golden prism. Thank you. Thank kindly. Speaking of getting distracted, do you think you've won Hyper Rogue only once? It's not particularly hard, but it is somewhat tedious, and there's so much stuff to do besides winning, for sure. The Noida loop of entrance to Colmy is the tutorial, like a grain of sand in the grand scheme of things. Oh, okay, wow. Then I'll definitely have to play it. I'll have to decide. Again, I feel like part of what burns me on some games, even though I love them, in terms of streaming games specifically, not playing, but is my lack of time to stream. If I was able to stream a little bit more, I think I'd get just absolutely carried away with something like Noida. So I think the next time I play it might be not on stream, even though I did really enjoy the integration. The Steam integration was a lot of fun. I think in order for me to get truly addicted to a game, I have to be able to just like play it in my off hours and fool around and have a little bit more time. Oof. not having fire vulnerability is great, but not having fire resistance on top of that, jeez Louise. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get out of there real quick. That is rough. I guess, okay, there is a robe of resistance in a shop upstairs that I could definitely afford to buy if I so desire. Oh wait, why is my scarf off? Oh, +2 cloak. I do have fire vulnerability. I switched out my gosh darn scarf resistance for a cloak. Oh, I didn't even think about that. So it brings us like down to 3 AC, but that's much better. Let's try that again, shall we? Jeez Louise. Should have seen that one coming. At least we have electrical resistance, so I don't have to worry quite so much about you. If you kiddos could all come right this way, step right up. And wonderful. There we go. That is much more better. And not too shabby. And there we go. Now that you're next to me, you probably should have electricity resistance if you knew what was good for you, my electrical friend, but fortunately, mistakes were made when you chose to tussle with the God of Thunder here. Fantastic. Even being able to tab our way through. Again, I guess Staff of Conjuration, not the worst thing in the world. No fear indeed. I mean, that's the thing. It's hard to feel fear when you never don't have it. It's just it's a simple calculus, really, at the end of the day. There's not much to it. Oh my lord. So many pyromancers, though. I get it. You're into fire, okay? Let's get a bit more serious here, shall we? It's a surprise number of elves in general. Here I thought orcs and elves had a whole thing, but turns out I maybe killed the one village here that has no inherent racism. They have, a valid respect for each other and understand that they've come through over years of friendship and that compassion that for one another, that empathy. And now they're dead. Now they're all dead. And we're gonna just keep going. Keep working on it until they're all exterminated because we're apparently the baddies. I mean, again, shocker. As we've covered a couple times over the course of my time streaming here, basically anytime you're a protagonist in a fantasy world, you're probably the baddie. I mean, generally, in the real world, we don't look upon the wanton murder and destruction of everyone you come across as a good thing. Why would it be any different in the world of fantasy? So, you know what? Fair enough. I guess we just have to embrace the terrible side of us. This is who we are now. That's almost too depressingly real to how so many people do find themselves doing horrible things. So maybe we'll drop that train of thought and instead just focus on that said killing, shall we? Okay, well that's quite the collection of friends. I think it's high time we get the heck out of Dodge. And can we get ignition or something? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not a phase, Mom. This is my life now, okay? And, I mean, I would love it. Oh, I guess, right. Remember when I was supposed to learn Freezing Cloud? Let's try that on for size, shall we? Drop one of these bad boys. Might at least help out. I already tried a Mummy of Ashanzari. I have not yet. No, we even had the opportunity today, and I snubbed it, hoping that we'd find Gozag or one of the caster gods, and then only after the fact when I think Colgate brought up the clarity that I was like, oh, right. Clarity. That is really nice. I forgot that Ashanzari does that. No, we should try it. If this one doesn't go well, I think that is definitely going to be a consideration for sure. Boss level game got you so paranoid, it really feels like it gives you a triple sword when you're playing a mage, or when you're doing it a melee, it just gives you all the spellbooks. You think the game has it out for you? Oh, it definitely does. Yeah, don't get it twisted. It is fully intentional. It's same with the second. It gives you like an incredible piece of gear. You know that the next few dungeons are going to be just nothing but out-of-depth monsters that you are in no way, shape, or form prepared to face. The dungeon, it has its ways, you know? Zot knows what must be done. Getting the Orb of Zot requires some sacrifices to be made. I mean, all in the name of progress, right? For the greater good and all of that. Has, again, we're so want to use as justification. Only this time, for me it's different. For me it's real, of course. You mean this is a one-shot like all of our runs? Of course. I mean, how could there would obviously be a doubt in my mind if it wasn't the case that we always win. First try, might I add. Something you just get used to when you're a god gamer like us, I guess. Think you need to wear tinfoil hats? The game stops reading your brain. See, now you're getting it. Now you're finally understanding the true way to get better at the game is not knowledge, is not experience and learning skills that you can then apply to further your ability to succeed in the future. It's actually just take preventative measures to stop the game from reading your brain. It's that easy, folks. Even a beginner can win first try if they follow my easy 3-step tutorial of stopping the alien overlords from learning your secrets. Okay, that Orc Knight is so close to dead that I kind of want to hang out here. The game senses greed and will punish you accordingly. What, me? Greedy? Never. Not even here where I'm debating I should probably hang out here because I'm so close to killing this buddy, and I mean just one more spell. Just one more spell. I promise I'll quit and leave after I kill them. It's not like that's ever burned me in the past or worked out horrifically in any way, shape, or form. Oh, in general, I just need better, like, ranged options. I mean, Reflection is kinda doing some work for us here, but oh, never mind, it's doing a lot of work as we just annihilate that Orc Warrior. There we go. That is the ticket. Okay, there's nowhere else that I see. In that case, let's do one of those. That's not great, but you will die trying to get to me, or close to it at least. Fantastic. And Baby Orc, we can just fight normally. Actually, an extension of the Feather of Truth. Oh yeah. We'll blast you, my friend, and that's got to be pretty dang close to everybody, right? Everybody, rock your body, and all that good stuff. Man, if I keep this Reflection brand around and I do eventually buy the Shield of Gong, we're gonna be in for a wild ride. In fact, how badly do I want it? I want enough money in surplus that we don't screw ourselves out of potion petitions by buying the Shield of Gong. But Shield of Gong, Cloak of, or Robe of Clouds, and being a blaster caster largely using Fulminant Prism, I don't see how that possibly blows up in our face. Right? Right? I'm sure it'll be fine. Maybe what I'll do, I'll give myself a minute to think through my choices in life here. So I'm gonna run out and grab a refill for my glass, but don't go anywhere because we'll be right back. And we'll see if we can't keep this buddy alive a little bit longer. See you just a sec.